Hello there, lovely people of the internet. Welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about why I picked cloud security engineer as my future career. Now, given the circumstances of AI, to give you guys a little bit of background, I've been doing my own study on business concepts. Now, I've been learning like MBA concepts from GPT, right? A lot of concepts. I've made a separate video about this if you guys want to take a look at that. And I've also been actively studying finance. And let me tell you guys what I overall think, at least from my personal perspective, right? Again, it could be subjective just to my personal opinion, but I just want to tell you guys what's going to happen. So the way I see it, of course, we don't know because there's a new model called SEAL or SEAL, something like that. It's able to pre-train itself. Now, if you know what this means, it's basically like, let's say AI. The only problem with AI is that, let's say, okay, you got to train it with old data in order to make it work for the newer like future, right? In this case, you don't need to do that. It trains itself. Like it's like a xenomorph giving birth, right? That's the way I imagine in my head. So yeah, I mean, overall, that the reason, okay, I'll get to why I'm picking CloudSecMLOps, right? So CloudSecMLOps for short is cloud engineering, security, right? Red teaming, blue teaming, so purple teaming, and machine learning and operations. Not so much on the machine learning side, but you need to understand at least on like the DevOps pipeline side, plus a little bit of how it works, right? So a little bit of Streamlit and things like that. So pretty much what I'm going to tell you guys is, now I've done my study onto business, I've done my study onto finance, I've also done my study onto law, I've done my study onto healthcare, and I've also done my study into biotech. Now biotech, of course, biotech, renewable energy, this is going to continue to grow. Electric vehicles, if you are into mechanical engineering and any field in engineering per se that's outside of white collar, will definitely survive 100%, because mechanical engineers, I think civil engineers will continue to survive. Logistics, I think I have done my research. Logistics, the robots are going to be part of the equation. So robotics engineers are going to be part of the equation now instead of logistics people, because the robots are going to start doing what the logistic people used to do. So it's going to be like AI enhanced models that are going to be sort of taking care of most of these pipelines. So essentially one person can do the job of like 10 people. So what does this mean for the future, right? That's the craziest question. Now, okay, let me go in terms of business. Okay, business, I think it's going to, because business, the way I see it, yes, you need organization, like soft skills and things like that. But the thing is, because of how much this whole revolution, or whatever you want to call it, I think it's destruction in a way. This is sort of reducing every job, not just business, right? Every job is just sort of collapsing on itself, right? It's like it's becoming tighter and tighter and tighter. I don't know how it's not, it's elastic. No, it's not elastic, but it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. So it's supply and demand, right? So when the demand, I mean, when the supply is getting tighter and tighter and tighter, now people are just competing for this little ball, right? So of course there are going to be much more tools now. If supply chain itself is getting automated by robots and machine learning systems, there is no way in hell that business is safe. So unless you, now if you're in the business fields, the best thing you can do is of course go more towards the technical side of things, because nowadays people are trying to cut costs, and because the whole revolution with the AI is to is this mindset where you need to cut costs as much as possible, use as many systems as possible, use as less people as possible, and get the most done from the least, right? So that's the whole mindset and the way the world is moving towards, right? So yes, I think business is one of business, more than business is actually finance. Now finance, I think, because the business, at least you need a certain level of soft skills, so you need to interact with people, and there's a management aspect of it. But the bigger aspect is finance. Finance, I believe, now this is personally my opinion, I've done my study into finance, I've actively been studying finance. If you guys have seen the video that I uploaded two videos ago. So this one, what I've observed so far, okay, I'll be honest, I think finance is one of those roles that are going to probably most likely disappear in 4 years, 5 years max, including chartered accountants and CFAs, okay, CAs and CFAs. I don't know how much this is going to be true. Let's see in the next 4 or 5 years, but yes, I've done my research, and the saturation, not the saturation, but the amount of CFA holders, not in my country, I haven't done research here, but considering I don't really want to live here, but yeah, I've done my research into like what it's like outside of a lot of people hold CFAs, but they're not really employed per se. And the same thing with law. Now law, the problem is now lower level, intermediate level, it's still coming for them. Like I did a proper research now a few days ago. I said law is one of those fields that are like, you know, a little bit safer, but turns out, right, I will put this picture on screen if I can. turns out law is also not safe, right? AI is better at understanding it. And with new models like Seal, who can sort of pre-train and understand itself, brother, we are screwed, isn't it? So I think, because think of it like this, right? So the software developers, the common argument a lot of software developers bring is like, hey, we've like, you can't really, AI can't really maintain any like legacy code bases, right? Then what about MCP servers? Now tell me, what about MCP servers, right? MCP servers connect AI models with other contexts like code bases. Exactly. So what I'm saying is, I mean, unless it's like a very, very old system, legacy old system, either people are going to go, like jobs wise, we're going to go towards maintaining legacy systems, like maybe like C based systems, like, you know, the pointer variable type of stuff, or the other side of the spectrum is going to be not spectrum, yeah, spectrum. Other side of the spectrum is going to be people who are specializing in the bigger, broader scale. Now, finance, okay, finance, it's a lot of math, but as long as you understand the context, it's a lot of math, the equations that repeat over and over and over again. Okay, so I've done my research into finance, and honestly, it's just a bunch of math. Okay, like it's just a bunch of, I know it's scary. On another side, I believe it's kind of scary to imagine that, you know, because if you get 1 0 wrong, like 1 decimal point away, it's going to mess up a whole operation, like $1 billion operation, right? So I don't know if this is disastrous or if this is good, but it seems to be the way the real world is headed towards. So yeah, that's so I'm no longer really considering business. I mean, honestly speaking, my advice to any younger generation is GPT is free. You can learn anything for free from GPT. That's what I've been doing for cybersecurity, cloud engineering, finance, business concepts. What else? Machine learning. What else? Literally everything so far. I've learned more from GPT, even about life, than freaking the rest of my like university or any of my curriculum, right? So that's the power of GPT. So use it to your advantage. Understand. I ask GPT what kind of jobs is going to replace me. Okay, what kind of jobs will be in demand? Like, who is going to replace me? And given my current situation, right? What my friends' careers, what's the future trajectory of their careers going to look like? So right now, I think in the future, in the next few years, supply chain and logistics, I think it's going to also shrink very much, but in turn, these are the jobs I think is going to rise. Okay, robotics engineers. I'm not talking about third world countries per se. I don't know how long it will take for third world countries, because it usually takes much longer. But honestly, that's also it's not a blessing as much as we think, because efficiency is prioritized. You know, the whole concept of lean, right? It's prioritized from the fact that we can collect data as, you know, iterate as soon as possible. It's Six Sigma, right? So if you don't have these systems in place, then it's going to be a competitive disadvantage for you, like for your supply chain. So eventually everybody needs to adapt to this system, right? So because capitalism, that's the whole point of it. And I don't think governments are going to really do anything about this, maybe except for the guardrails on child pornography. That's fucked up, because I recently saw a story and I don't really want to recall the story. So yes, I think apart from that, I don't think governments are really going to be as concerned, because it makes them a lot more money than the amount of unemployed people. So yes, I don't think governments will really care. I like to be optimistic that it's going to enhance people rather than replace them, which is actually a very bold claim, especially nowadays, because models, there's a new model that can train itself, right? It's crazy, right? So I think get the knowledge. I would say, if you're young, especially if you're young, try to learn as much as possible. Business, finance, soft skills is, of course, a lot of people have soft skills, right? Finance, project management, whatever you can, just learn it as much as possible. What's in demand, right? Make sure you always constantly ask GPT what's in demand, right? So the way I settled on CloudSec, I have nothing to sell to you, just to clarify, right? Just in case you are wondering, I'm trying to sell something to you. No, I'm going to tell you, honestly speaking, why I picked cloud security engineer, okay? So cloud is the forefront of every application, right? Every application is made in a way that it's powered and held up by cloud, right? The application that you use, the very application that you're watching this video is on the cloud, right? So cloud engineering is, of course, going to be part of the future. Cloud architecture, architecting a cloud system, and security, right? Always threats. For where is the application deployed? On the cloud, right? And what's going to happen? What's the first priority of a hacker who is trying to get some data out of this, out of this company, essentially? The cloud platform it's deployed on. So what should you master? Cloud security engineering, because you can then cater for multiple companies at once. It's not going to be freelance brand scaling anymore, because freelance brand scaling is a model which is extremely saturated, because a lot of people can do it, right? It's like, as long as you find some clients and as long as they have a pretty good ad spending amount, and in and out about what's the word for it, campaign optimization, which AI can now do, right? It's just not going to be a viable option. Okay, freelance brand scaling, the way I see it, of course, if you can make a lot of money right now, do it 100%. But if you can't, just ditch the idea, go towards cloud engineering and then security, because those two are going to be the forefront of all the applications in the future, right? Is it going to be easy? No. I'll tell you right now, it's not going to be easy. There's like multiple layers of certifications you just need to even get a basic job. Okay, I seriously mean that. But once you get the hang of it, it's a super fun job, right? Because you understand this. You're like an architect, like you're like a technical architect, like a, I don't know, internet architect, if that makes sense. But yes, that's going to be the future, because all these systems. Now, one misconception is like, okay, so because this is, if capitalism is going to sort of replace us, then capitalism won't be able to survive itself, right? Which is completely wrong. Okay, you know why? Because capitalism itself can survive with capitalism. Let me get this straight. Capitalism can survive with capitalism. Capitalists and capitalists, right? So nowadays, you should prioritize, my honest opinion to anyone is, you should prioritize getting knowledge first. Okay, you should not chase anything that does not require you to sort of go through a certain training program, because the training program nowadays, education, I used to be that guy who's like, you know what, fuck this, I'll just do business, right? It's just not the reality we live in anymore, because a lot more people, I believe, it's going to sort of cause everything to sort of collapse, right? It's like it's like this bubble, right? The way I see it, the world, right? It's going to become smaller, right? That's the honest truth. Now, just because I do cloud security engineering or security, cybersecurity, does that mean I'm safe? No, right? You need to have knowledge in multiple different domains. I seriously mean that. Something that's AI resilient and multiple different domains. Now, I have cloud engineering so far, I have cloud security, and I have cybersecurity on my side, and I have full stack, which is, I don't think it's going to survive in the next 4 years, I would say. Yes, so overall, I have experience with MCP servers and AI as a whole, so I think I could move into that side as well, which is why I told you guys the very keyword CloudSecMLOps combines. DevOps engineers are going to combine eventually with cloud. They're going to have to move towards the cloud architecture, combined engineer, right? Then MLOps, right? MLOps, that makes sense. ML and DevOps. So machine learning, right? You learn cloud architecture, you learn security, and you learn machine learning. So worst case scenario, now you can become anything you want, and you can also go towards cybersecurity, red teaming, right? Blue teaming. Blue teaming, I don't think it's going to be in as much of a demand, to be honest. I'm just trying to be realistic, because because it's easy for someone to say, hey, no, it's just bullshit, that's just not going to go anywhere. But as a consumer, I think, yes, you should agree with them, but you should also be open to the possibility that it is in fact a very much machine learning model type of predictable outcome, right? Sure, there could be one few anomalies, but in the broader scheme, it's actually not, So yes, I think it's going to shrink, blue teaming, but red teaming is going to still continue to grow, because companies still need to make sure the cybersecurity, like the people cannot get into their systems, right? Offensive security. So yes, it's going to continue to grow. 100% believe that, because cybersecurity is the future, right? Every system is going to be having some sort of communication ports and TCP, UDP, you feel me? So yeah, 100%. Biotech, it's going to continue to grow, because biotech, renewable energy, these sectors are going to explode in the next 5-10 years, 100%, because these systems also need to move towards the cloud, the renewable energy side, to stay intact, if that makes sense. Because biotech is one of the huge things that I'm seeing recently, because right now the global warming and everything, these cloud servers and these cybersecurity and all these systems need to move towards eco-friendly solutions, like electric vehicles, for example, which is a disaster in the UK. So that's a different story. But finance, don't do. I wouldn't say don't do it. I think you still have fair opportunity, especially if you're in a third world country. But it's getting pretty risky if you're getting in now, right? Overall, my honest advice is, doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It just means you should do all of it. Like Just because I'm saying don't do finance, no, it's not don't do finance. It's do it and do tech. That's what I'm doing, right? You need both. You need to be a fintech guy, right? You need to be a fintech cloud security MLOps architect. Pretty cool title, isn't it? So it sounds like a sci-fi type of title. It's like a futuristic cyberpunk type of thing, but it is very much a real thing, right? So imagine like a CFA cloud MLOps guy, MLOps architect. Pretty cool. So yeah, I think if you do that, you should be pretty safe. Because now, the way I see it, the early adapters are going to be the only ones who are going to be really thriving, I would say, because you would have more time to get that experience on your belt, even though the demand for it is not as much right now. I 100% do believe this role is eventually going to evolve. We now itself, we see the demand for cloud engineering starting to like slowly pick up, and it on the charts it says exploding, but I don't think it's sure, it could be exploding because every device, every system in the mother is using the cloud systems, right? But yes, I think it's going to continue to grow. And I think security is also going to continue to grow. I think finance is going to be honestly, not a dead end job. I think it's going to be just another skill you should have in your skill set. Because eventually then you can at least move to fintech, which means you understand the domain to an extent. And you also understand, like, let's say if you have an MBA, right? You should be an MBA/technology type of person. So now you understand business, right? Like how to, because MBA teaches you general business concepts that could be applied across all, right? But keep in mind, now you should not focus on getting a certification per se. You just need to focus on having certification is good, right? Getting a degree, it's of course valuable. But more than that, now you need the practical knowledge, right? You need to understand how this works and how I can apply it in a way that I can combine it with technology. That's the forefront, and that's the future of this world, right? And that's why I picked CloudSecMLOps, and that's why I'm trying to look into business a little bit, finance a little bit. I know it's not like I don't encourage anyone to do a billion things at once, but that's the type of world we live in now, right? And blue collar work, very much in demand. I think the demand is going to stay consistent, and you won't really get laid off or anything, and you can even start your own thing. So yeah, pretty good option even right now, because the white collar guys are going to slowly get burnt out or sort of collapse on themselves, and then eventually everybody's going to move towards something like blue collar or agriculture, right, where people are just going to be farming and going back to the old ways, because the capitalism is just I don't know, a different kind of a capitalism by that point. Unless they use robots for that as well. But yes, I think the whole idea is to cater. Honestly speaking, if there's 8 billion people in this world, I think the way the systems are, it's made in a way that it's supposed to cater for 80 billion people instead of 8, right? Because I don't know how to explain it from a philosophical sense, where people die and then population decrease and economical problems, but in a job perspective, I think it's going to survive, right? If you do take that time, I think everything considered, if you take that time and learn this, honestly, learn what I said, CloudSecMLOps, right? Which is not going to be an easy task in the first place. So cloud engineering, security, machine learning, DevOps on the side, and maybe cloud security, cloud engineering, security, DevOps, and then machine learning, so CloudSecMLOps. Now, once you have a pretty good grip on this, you can combine it with other things, like, for example, medicine or biotech, or maybe what's the word for it? Fintech, right? Fintech, finance and technology, and maybe what's the word for it? MBA, right? Business and technology. So you need to be a pretty good person in both senses, right? Now more than ever, because the world is moving towards technology. It's entirely moving towards technology. It's only going to get bigger and better from here. So yeah, if you feel like if you feel like it's not the best time, if you feel the fear of it, and if you feel like your role is not really going to counter against whatever new revolution or discovery they're going to put out in maybe the next month, then I highly suggest go learn something else. Because if you're young, especially, because one thing you got to understand is when you get older, you have less time to study, and in 20 years we have no idea what this is going to be, right? Be just about marketing, right? Just bullshit nonsense that they're putting on our faces, or it could be the biggest thing in this world. And I believe it's going to be something in the middle, right? Because the world also needs to revolutionize and it needs to evolve, right? Before it was at a point where the computer came as a point where it gave a lot more people jobs. Now it is taking away those jobs that the computer made, right? So yes, I think in fact, because businesses also need to do this in order to stay competitive, because the competitiveness, if one business is not doing that, the other one is going to take away their potential, right? That's the whole point of Porter's 5 forces, right? You need to make sure your competitors are not fucking you over. So you gotta be at the edge of innovation, technology, and everything. So big words, big fancy words. But yeah. Oh, and I forgot ERPs. But yeah, I think overall, it's just gonna get, honestly, I don't know. I can't tell the future. I wish I was a future teller. I would tell where I'm gonna be in the next 10, 20 years as well. I hope it's not on the fucking roads. And honestly, I can't tell right now because it's that bad, right? Unemployment in the first world is horrible, right? And if you live in a third world country, especially my country or India, 20%, 200% taxes, 300% taxes on the new vehicles, right? I'm a car enthusiast and I don't think I should survive here because at least I can do some mechanic work and make fucking $1,000 a month, put 300 on a car and have a pretty decent life in a first world country. That's all I really care about. So yeah, in that sense, I'm living in peak depression in this country, which is why I'm trying to acquire as much knowledge and skills in this country to move out. Because I could care less about freaking millionaire Jeff Bezos. I could do a pretty good job if I can be stable in my life and make a pretty good income, buy my decent cars and live a pretty happy life, content with myself. I'd be more than happy, right? Of course, if Dineth decides to not pick up his phone the next time I call him, bro, I'm gonna crash out, okay? But anyways, apart from that, that's it, guys. That's it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you stay safe. Do a lot of research on future, and when you're considering career paths, how can I make my own role better, or should I just take a step back? Because don't be the Gen Z person. The Gen Z mentality is different from the boomer mentality. You should not consider one career path as your forever kind of path, right? You should explore other pathways. You should step out of your, you should divide and try to see, okay, tech is not my only option. There's finance, there's law, but what are the ups and downs? What are the impacts of it? Well, how is it gonna be good? Is it gonna be bad, right? So make sure you do a proper, thorough analysis and then eventually settle on something that you think is going to be the future and you think is going to be resilient. And we can't tell which role is going to be. I don't know if fucking CloudSecMLOps is going to be, which I really doubt, honestly. Every application needs it. But yes, it's either that or it's going to be the burnout, right? Burnout is going to be crazy because you can't even go down anymore, right? You can't go down anymore. It's going to be a sort of that, like you're burnt out, but you can't really go down anymore because down is like, now it's raising the bar. So yeah, can't tell what's going to happen because a lot of people who are burnt out at the top are going to start coming to the bottom, right? So yeah, overall the market is just gonna get, that's why I say always get some knowledge under your belt. Knowledge is the only thing that the fucking AI can't take. So structure it properly, get some proper knowledge, and then apply it. Keep applying it, because the longer you apply it is the better you will get, right? Because you can't, let's say next year you have to become a cloud engineer. You can't just become a cloud engineer in freaking 2 months. It's just not how it works, right? You need at least, I would say, 1 year of practice and studying and practice, constant, every day showing up, 6 to 12 months minimum, right? Bare minimum, full dedication. You need to have it. So that's what I mean. You need to, it's not sunshine and rainbows. And honestly, a lot of people get burnt out because of how many, the stability, you need to understand that stability in that job, right? In these jobs don't come easy. I know I make it sound easy, but it's actually very, very difficult, right? Like, as someone who does it on a daily basis, like, I did it because every day I was just showing up, right? It's not impossible. Nothing is impossible. But it's also very, very emotionally, mentally, physically, and in many ways, it's draining, right? It gets you closer to burnout. So always keep everything balanced out. Make sure you live a decent life as well. Make sure your mentality is good, and don't be like me. Just be the opposite of me, because it's gonna be very, very costly for your future, right? And you can't afford to do these like lower level roles anymore either, no offense, right? Because it's just not the type of world we live in anymore, right? It's just going to keep evolving, and we have no idea if it's tomorrow, the next month, or the next year, or whether it's the next 5 years, right? So yes, that's what I mean. So advancements, we don't know what's going to be the future capability of it. I think AI is just going to get even bigger and better because they're just making this work in massive scales. And to think that there are models that can retrain themselves is just, it's mind-blowing, honestly, right? It's something that we've never seen before. I'm kind of excited to tell my dad when he wakes up today. But yes, it was discovered yesterday, so pretty new stuff. Yeah, that's it from my side, and I'll see you guys in my next one whenever I see you guys. So peace out.